The email sat in my inbox like a bomb waiting to explode. Subject line: International Transfer Opportunity, Singapore Office. My hands shook as I clicked it open. After 6 years of working weekends, covering for absent colleagues and building systems that actually worked, headquarters was finally offering me what I had dreamed about. A senior analyst position in Singapore. Double my current salary. A fresh start 8,000 miles from the office where I had become invisible. I read it 3 times to make sure it was real. Then I printed it, folded it carefully, and walked toward my manager's office. My heart pounded with each step. This was it. My escape from Derek Paulson, the man who had made my life miserable for 3 years. The man who took credit for my work while telling everyone I was barely competent. I knocked twice on his door. He looked up from his phone with that familiar sneer. Derek leaned back in his leather chair and barely glanced at the paper I placed on his desk. Singapore, he said, like the word tasted bad. You think you're ready for international work? I kept my voice steady. Headquarters requested candidates with my exact skill set. I meet every requirement. He picked up the email and pretended to read it, but I could see his jaw tighten. For 3 years, he had kept me in a corner cubicle while promoting people who knew half of what I did. He had blocked 2 previous transfer requests without explanation. But this time was different. This request came directly from the regional director. Derek could not ignore it without raising questions. He set the paper down and smiled in that cold way that never reached his eyes. I'll consider it, he said. But I need to review your performance first. Give me 2 weeks. 2 weeks turned into 4. Then 6. Every time I asked, Derek had a new excuse. Still reviewing. Waiting for approval from upstairs. Processing takes time. Meanwhile, I watched him promote Kyle Brennan, who had joined the company 8 months ago and still did not know how to run basic reports without help. I watched him give the corner office to Miranda Wells, whose main skill was laughing at his jokes. I stayed late every night, documenting everything I had built. Client databases. Automation systems. Process improvements that saved the company $200,000 annually. I copied every email where Derek praised my work privately while criticizing me publicly. I backed up files to my personal drive. I was not stupid. I knew what he was doing. He was running out the clock, hoping headquarters would move on and offer the position to someone else. Someone he could control. On week 7, I walked into Derek's office without knocking. He looked up, annoyed. I need an answer, I said. The transfer window closes Friday. Derek closed his laptop slowly. I've made my decision. I'm denying your transfer request. You're too valuable here. The team needs you. Too valuable. The words were ash in my mouth. For 3 years, he had told me I was mediocre. Now suddenly I was too valuable to let go? That's not your call, I said quietly. Headquarters requested me specifically. His face darkened. I'm your direct supervisor. Every transfer goes through me. And I'm telling you no. He stood up and moved around his desk, trying to use his height to intimidate me. You should be grateful you still have a job here. With your attitude, I could make things very difficult. I met his eyes and did not blink. Put it in writing, I said. The rejection. I want it documented. Derek's email arrived 20 minutes later. Brief and cold. Transfer request denied due to critical operational needs and performance concerns. Performance concerns. I read those 2 words 5 times. He had never mentioned performance issues before. Never put me on an improvement plan. Never given me a negative review. This was purely revenge for daring to want something better. I forwarded the email to my personal account. Then I did something I had been avoiding for months. I opened LinkedIn and searched for Vanessa Torres. She had left our department 2 years ago after Derek made her life unbearable. Last I heard, she was working at headquarters in Singapore. Senior Director of Operations. I sent her a message. Hope you're doing well. Quick question about international opportunities if you have a minute. She responded in 10 minutes. Call me. Now. Her voice was warm when I dialed. I heard you applied for the Singapore position. What happened? Vanessa listened without interrupting as I explained everything. The blocked transfers. The stolen credit. The promotion of less qualified people while I stayed stuck. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Derek is still pulling this garbage, she said finally. He did the same thing to me. Blocked 3 opportunities before I went over his head. She paused. Listen carefully. That Singapore position? It didn't come from a general search. The regional director, Pierce Hamilton, specifically asked for you by name. He's been tracking your work for 18 months. He knows exactly what you've built. My heart stopped. What? The client database overhaul last year. The automation that fixed the reporting disasters. Pierce knows it was all you. Derek's been taking credit, but people at headquarters aren't stupid. They see the metadata. They know whose fingerprints are on the actual work. I sat down heavily in my desk chair. Derek blocked someone headquarters requested specifically? Vanessa's laugh was sharp. He just ended his career and doesn't know it yet. Pierce Hamilton doesn't make requests lightly. When he asks for someone by name, it means he's been watching them. Building a case. Planning something big. She paused. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to forward me that rejection email. Every piece of documentation you have. Performance reviews. Project files. Anything showing your actual contributions. I'm going to walk it directly to Pierce's office tomorrow morning Singapore time. My hands were shaking again, but this time from hope instead of anger. Will that actually work? Pierce has been trying to clean house for 2 years. Getting rid of managers who hoard talent and steal credit. Derek just gave him the ammunition he needed. The rejection email is gold. It shows Derek prioritizing his own convenience over company needs. That's a terminable offense at headquarters level. I spent the next 4 hours compiling files. Every innovation. Every late night. Every email where Derek praised me privately while taking credit publicly. The office felt different the next morning. I knew something had shifted, but I did not know what yet. Derek was not at his desk. His door was closed, which was unusual. He loved leaving it open so he could monitor everyone. Carl stopped by my cubicle around 10. Have you seen Derek? He's been in his office all morning with the door locked. I shrugged. No idea. But I did have an idea. I checked my email every 5 minutes, trying not to be obvious. At 11:30, my phone rang. Unknown number. This is Alexander speaking. Alex, it's Pierce Hamilton. Regional Director, Asia Pacific Operations. Do you have a few minutes? I stood up so fast my chair rolled backward and hit the cubicle wall. Yes, sir. Absolutely. His voice was calm and professional. I understand you applied for the senior analyst position in Singapore. I also understand your transfer request was denied. I'd like to hear your perspective on why. I kept my voice level as I walked through everything. The facts only, no emotion. The blocked transfers. The promotions of less qualified colleagues. The performance concerns that appeared only after I requested a transfer. The projects I built that carried Derek's name in presentations, but my signature in the code. Pierce listened without interrupting. When I finished, he asked one question. If I offered you the Singapore position today, could you be on a plane within 2 weeks? Yes, sir. Good. Expect a formal offer letter by end of day. This comes directly from my office. It supersedes any local management objections. Your transfer is approved, effective immediately. HR will contact you regarding relocation assistance and visa processing. I was still processing his words when he continued. One more thing. We're conducting a comprehensive review of management practices in your current office. You may be contacted for additional information. Everything you share will be confidential. He paused. Derek Paulson will not be involved in your transition process. The formal offer arrived at 4 o'clock. Senior Analyst, Singapore Regional Office. Salary, 130,000. Housing allowance. Relocation bonus. Start date, 3 weeks from Monday. I read it twice to make sure it was real, then printed 3 copies. One for my files. One for my apartment wall. One to carry in my pocket until I was safely on that plane. I did not tell anyone in the office. Not yet. Derek's door stayed closed all afternoon. At 5:15, I saw him finally emerge, his face pale. He walked straight past my cubicle without looking at anyone. An hour later, my desk phone rang. Internal extension. Alex, this is Patricia from Human Resources. Can you come to conference room C? We need to discuss your transition details. When I entered the room, Patricia was there with another woman I did not recognize. This is Michelle Hooper from Headquarters HR. She's here to facilitate your transfer and ensure everything proceeds smoothly. Michelle got straight to business. We understand this transfer is happening quickly. Headquarters wants to make sure you have everything you need. Housing in Singapore will be arranged through our corporate relocation partner. They'll send you listings this week. Visa processing is already underway. We're expediting it through our legal team. She slid a folder across the table. This outlines your full compensation package, including benefits that begin on your start date. Take tonight to review it. If you have questions, my direct number is on the card. Patricia cleared her throat. There's one more thing. During your transition period, you'll report directly to Wesley Chang, the division director. Derek Paulson is no longer in your chain of command. I kept my face neutral, but my heart was racing. Understood. Michelle smiled slightly. Pierce Hamilton asked me to tell you personally, your work has not gone unnoticed. He's looking forward to having you on his team. After they left, I sat in the empty conference room for 10 minutes, just breathing. Word spread through the office by the next morning. I arrived to find my cubicle neighbors staring at me with a mixture of curiosity and envy. Kyle approached my desk hesitantly. Is it true? You're transferring to Singapore. Yes. But Derek said you weren't qualified for international work. He said you barely handled your current responsibilities. I looked at him calmly. Derek said a lot of things that weren't true. Headquarters disagreed with his assessment. Kyle's face flushed. He had been Derek's favorite, fed opportunities one had earned. How did you manage it? Derek never approves transfers. I didn't go through Derek. I turned back to my computer screen. I went over him. Miranda appeared at my cubicle entrance, her usual confidence shaken. Does this mean Derek is in trouble? I shrugged. Not my concern. I'm focused on my transition. But I knew exactly what it meant. When headquarters removes someone from a management chain suddenly, it is never a good sign for that manager. Derek did not return to the office for 3 days. Rumors swirled. Some said he was sick. Others whispered about emergency meetings with HR. I focused on documenting my systems so whoever replaced me could maintain them. On the 4th day, Derek appeared. He looked like he had aged 5 years. His suit was wrinkled. He did not make eye contact with anyone as he walked to his office. An hour later, his door opened and he called out, Alex. My office. Now. I saved my work and walked slowly to his door. He sat behind his desk, hands folded, trying to look authoritative. But his eyes were desperate. I want you to know I fought for you, he started. I tried to convince headquarters that you needed more development time before taking on international responsibilities. But they overruled me. I said nothing. Let him talk. The Singapore office is very demanding. If you struggle, it will reflect poorly on this entire department. On me. There it was. His real concern. Derek leaned forward, his voice dropping. I'm willing to forget certain things if you're willing to help me out. When headquarters asks about your time here, what you say matters. I need you to remember that I gave you opportunities. That I developed your skills. That the success you had was because of my mentorship. I almost laughed. 3 years of stolen credit. Blocked opportunities. Public humiliation. And now he wanted me to lie for him. What exactly would you like me to say? I asked quietly. Just that I was a supportive manager. That any disagreements were normal workplace friction. That you have no complaints about how you were treated. He slid a paper across the desk. Sign this. It's a statement saying you leave with no grievances. In exchange, I'll write you a glowing recommendation letter. I picked up the paper and read it slowly. It was a liability waiver disguised as a departure form. By signing, I would waive any future claims about workplace treatment. I need to think about it. Derek's face hardened. You have until end of day tomorrow. If you don't sign, I can make your last 3 weeks here very difficult. I still control your access to systems. Your departure clearance. Your final paycheck processing. It was a threat. A desperate one. I'll consider it, I said, standing. But Derek, I should mention something. Headquarters already contacted me for a detailed interview about management practices here. They seemed very interested in documentation, emails, project records, performance reviews. They're conducting what they called a comprehensive review. The color drained from his face. You talked to them already? They requested it. I cooperated fully. I met his eyes. I was very thorough. They have copies of everything. The projects you claimed as yours. The transfers you blocked. The emails where you praised my work privately while criticizing me publicly. All of it. Derek stood up abruptly, his chair rolling backward. You vindictive little, careful, I interrupted. HR has been very clear about maintaining professional conduct during transition periods. I left Derek's office and went straight back to my desk. My hands were steady now. For 3 years, I had swallowed anger, accepted disrespect, believed that keeping my head down and working hard would eventually pay off. I was wrong. People like Derek never reward loyalty. They exploit it. The next morning, I found a formal letter on my desk. Derek's signature at the bottom, but the language was pure HR. Due to reorganization, your position will transition to the Singapore office effective immediately. Your last day in this office will be Friday. Please coordinate with IT regarding system access and with facilities regarding office clearance. He was pushing me out early, trying to minimize my remaining time in the office. I forwarded the letter to Michelle at headquarters. She responded in minutes. This is unacceptable. You're entitled to a full transition period. I'm addressing this directly with Wesley Chang. An hour later, Wesley himself appeared at my cubicle. Mid-50s, silver hair, the kind of executive presence that made people instinctively straighten their posture. Wesley pulled up Kyle's vacant chair and sat down. Alex, I apologize for the confusion. Derek overstepped his authority. Your transition timeline stands as originally planned. 3 weeks, with full access to all systems and resources you need to ensure a smooth handover. He spoke quietly, but there was steel underneath. I also want you to know that Pierce Hamilton has personally briefed me on your situation. The Asia-Pacific leadership team is watching how we handle this transition. They're not impressed with certain aspects of local management. He paused. Derek Paulson is being reassigned. The details are still being finalized, but he will no longer supervise any staff members. His role will be strictly individual contributor until his departure from the company. I kept my expression neutral, but inside, I felt a weight lift. When does this take effect? Today. As of this morning, Derek has no management authority. I'll be overseeing the department directly until we hire his replacement. Wesley stood and extended his hand. Welcome to the next chapter. Make us proud in Singapore. The remaining weeks passed in a strange calm. Derek came to the office, but stayed in his office, door closed, doing whatever work they had assigned him. He did not speak to me again. Kyle and Miranda kept their distance, suddenly uncertain about their own futures. I trained my replacement, a sharp woman named Priya, who actually asked good questions and took detailed notes. She did not need much help. My systems were documented clearly because I had always assumed someone might need to understand them someday. On my second to last day, Vanessa called from Singapore. I'm setting up a welcome dinner for when you arrive. Small group. People you should know. Pierce wants to introduce you to the regional team properly. Her voice was warm. You did it, Alex. You got out. We did it, I corrected. I wouldn't have known to go over Derek's head without you. She laughed. Derek made that easy. Blocking a direct request from Pierce Hamilton? That's like slapping your CEO and expecting a promotion. My last day arrived. I cleaned out my cubicle, packing 6 years of work into 2 small boxes. Photos. A coffee mug. Notes from colleagues who had moved on. The office threw me a standard farewell lunch in the break room. Grocery store cake, awkward speeches, forced smiles. Derek did not attend. Wesley made brief remarks about my contributions and wished me well. Kyle gave me a gift card to a restaurant chain that did not exist in Singapore. Miranda signed the group card but wrote nothing personal. I did not care. These people were my past now. At 4 o'clock, I walked through the office one final time. Past Derek's closed door. Past the cubicles where I had spent countless late nights fixing problems that others created. Past the corner office that should have been mine years ago. I felt nothing. No anger. No regret. Just relief. At the elevator, I pressed the button and waited. The doors opened. I stepped inside and turned around. Through the glass walls, I could see the office bustling with Friday afternoon energy. People who would forget me by Monday. The flight to Singapore was 14 hours. I slept for most of it, the kind of deep sleep that comes from exhaustion mixed with relief. When I woke up, we were descending through clouds into a city that glittered like a circuit board. Changi Airport was stunning. Clean, efficient, full of tropical plants and art installations. I cleared customs quickly, my work visa stamped without issue. A driver waited at arrivals holding a sign with my name. Mr. Alexander? Welcome to Singapore. I'll take you to your apartment. The company had arranged temporary housing in a modern building near the office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Marina Bay. Furniture already in place. Welcome basket on the counter with local snacks and a handwritten note from Pierce. Looking forward to Monday. Rest this weekend. You've here. Net it. I stood at the window as the sun set, painting the sky in orange and purple. 8,000 miles from Derek. From that cramped cubicle. From 3 years of being invisible. I opened my laptop and sent one email to my parents. I made it. New life starts Monday. Monday morning arrived with tropical heat and clear skies. I wore a new suit I had bought specifically for this day. The office was on the 43rd floor of a gleaming tower in the financial district. The lobby alone was nicer than my entire old office building. Pierce Hamilton met me at reception personally. Tall, maybe 60, with gray hair and the kind of calm confidence that comes from decades of making good decisions. Alex. Welcome. His handshake was firm. Let me show you around. The Singapore office was nothing like what I had left behind. Open floor plan with actual natural light. Breakout spaces with comfortable furniture. A view that stretched across the entire city. My workspace was not a cubicle. It was a proper desk in an open area where senior analysts collaborated. We don't do hierarchy by office size here, Pierce explained. We do it by impact. You'll have everything you need to work effectively. He introduced me to the team. 12 people, representing 8 countries. Vanessa waved from across the room, grinning. Pierce walked me to a glass-walled conference room. I wanted to talk privately before you dive in. First, thank you for the documentation you provided about your previous manager. It confirmed patterns we had been seeing in other employee complaints. Derek Paulson was terminated last Friday. Effective immediately. I had expected this, but hearing it confirmed still sent a jolt through me. What was the official reason? Misrepresentation of employee contributions. Retaliation against transfer requests. Creating a hostile work environment. We don't tolerate managers who suppress talent to protect their own positions. Pierce leaned back in his chair. You weren't his only victim. 2 other employees came forward during the investigation with similar stories. People he had blocked or pushed out. The pattern was clear. He pulled out a folder. I'm telling you this because I want you to understand something. What happened to you is not normal. It was not acceptable. And it will not happen here. In this office, we promote based on merit. We encourage transfers and development. We give credit where it's due. My first project in Singapore was everything I had hoped for. Pierce assigned me to lead a complete overhaul of the regional reporting system. Exactly the kind of strategic work Derek had kept me from doing. I had a team of 4 analysts who actually listened to my ideas, who asked for my input, who gave me credit in meetings when I contributed something valuable. We worked late some nights, but it never felt like exploitation. It felt like collaboration. Like building something that mattered. 6 weeks in, Vanessa invited me to lunch. We went to a hawker center, one of Singapore's famous outdoor food courts. We ordered chicken rice and sat at a plastic table surrounded by hundreds of locals. You look different, she said, studying my face. Happier. I am. This place is everything I thought work could be. I took a bite of the chicken. No politics. No credit stealing. Just good work recognized fairly. She nodded. Pierce is the best leader I've ever had. He builds teams, not empires. That's rare. She paused. You heard about Kyle and Miranda? I shook my head. What happened? Both put on performance improvement plans. Turns out when Derek wasn't there to cover for them, their actual skill gaps became obvious. Kyle especially. He was promoted way above his competence level. Vanessa sipped her drink. Wesley is cleaning house. Hiring based on merit instead of whoever kisses up most effectively. She smiled. The department is apparently functioning better than it has in years. Turns out when you promote competent people, things improve. Revolutionary concept. I laughed. For the first time in years, hearing about my old office did not trigger anger. Just mild interest, like reading about strangers in the newspaper. That chapter was closed. 3 months into my new role, Pierce called me into his office. I'm promoting you to lead analyst. It comes with a team of 8 and full project autonomy. Salary increase of 20%. You've earned it. Just like that. No politics. No waiting years. Just recognition of good work. Thank you, sir. I won't disappoint you. He smiled. I know you won't. That's why I requested you by name. A year later, I stood in that same glass conference room, now leading a presentation to the entire Asia-Pacific leadership team. My reporting system had been adopted across 7 countries. It was saving the company millions in efficiency gains. After the presentation, executives lined up to shake my hand, to ask questions, to tell me they had been following my work. Pierce pulled me aside as the room cleared. Corporate headquarters in New York wants you to present this at the global conference next month. They're talking about implementing your system company-wide. 50 countries. He paused. They're also talking about creating a director position to oversee the global rollout. I recommended you for it. I had come to Singapore hoping for a fresh start. What I found was something better, a place where talent was recognized, where hard work led to actual opportunities, where managers built you up instead of tearing you down. Sometimes I thought about Derek. About that moment in his office when he thought he had won by blocking my transfer. He had no idea he was handing me the greatest gift of my career. His rejection forced me to go over his head, to connect with leaders who actually valued what I brought. His small-minded power play ended his career and launched mine. I learned something important. When someone blocks your path, sometimes the universe is just redirecting you towards something better. You just have to be brave enough to find another door.